I have 5:30. Hey, thanks. They're on.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ottumwa City Council meeting. It's 5:30, so I'm going to call our meeting to order. And if everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Chris will go ahead and take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Here.
Councilmember McIntyre. Councilmember Cavanis.
Here.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Galloway. Here. Mayor Johnson.
Here. The next item on our agenda is to approve tonight's consent agenda, part 1. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanis.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed.
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
The next item is to approve consent agenda, part 2. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanis.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed.
No.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
The next item is to approve our agenda for tonight's city council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? Not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanis.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed.
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
The next item is our city administrator's report to council and citizens of Ottumwa. So I'm going to turn it over to Phil Rath, our city administrator.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Let's see. I guess welcome back to City Hall. So it's been a couple years since we had our council meetings in here, and we're getting acclimated back into our new setting. And going forward, unless there's a reason, this is where our council meetings will be. I also wanted to mention that tonight is a debate for mayoral candidates, and next Tuesday will be a debate for city council candidates. And those will be available for view afterwards as well if you're not able to attend in person, like if you're here tonight. And I believe this Thursday is also the Women League of Voters candidate forum. Last night was a debate for city or for school board representatives. So you can look out for those as well.
Not tell them where they're located.
If I had that off the top of my head, I would.
Oh.
I know they alternate. So let's see. GoPip is hosting those. I believe the forum for Thursday is at Career Campus. And is that also for the candidate, city council candidate?
No, we're at Indian Hills.
That's
at
St.
Indian
John's
Hills.
Auditorium.
Yes, Indian Hills.
All right. Thank you. All right.
St.
St. John's Auditorium.
St. John's Auditorium.
Perfect. Okay. And then with that, we have guests tonight to provide an update and possible future recommendations. And I'd like to call up representatives from Retail Strategies.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Hope everyone's doing doing good today. It's beautiful weather we're having here so far. So I'm enjoying the time we're spending out here in Iowa, especially a long way from home. So
Can you put the mic up to your, thank you.
is that better? Sorry. Try not to gobble the thing down here. And I have a presentation to present tonight. I don't know how we can.
All right. There we go.
Let me just test it real quick. All right. So for those who don't know, my name is Cam Sal. My partner, Stephen Dendy here. We work at Retail Strategy. We're a municipal retail recruitment firm. So essentially, 30,000 foot view, quick elevator pitch is we're like the Match.com of retail and real estate. So our sole purpose here is to be brought on by communities, partnerships, and cities to bolster their retail and bolster that sales tax incentive for communities. So here tonight, just giving a partnership recap, we are at the end of our 3-year partnership. So we want to highlight a few things here. I know there's questions that would like to be asked, and we want to have an open floor. There's a lot of stuff that's redacted just for public record, of course. So if there's any questions, try to speak in somewhat general terms. I can read through it pretty easily, so I can able to respond as clear and concise as possible. So we get started here. We're a team. All right, we're a team of 48 people in our implementation. This group here serves you directly, myself as the portfolio director, Stephen Dendy as our retail development associate. We also have an extended team outside of that works with our team on a day-to-day basis, and that's Matt Yeager. He's our director of recruitment services. Clay Kraft, he runs our implementation. Vice president there on our client services, Lacey Beasley, if you're familiar with her name. Through ICSC, she's on the board of trustees. She has a really strong wealth of knowledge and connections on the national level. And Scott Blancan is our COO that keeps a lot of our moving parts and processes going with our company. So everyone's involved. Again, this is just the surface level part of our team. Again, we're a team of 48 that work on our client basis. All right, so Basecamp, this is our main form of communication, again, just to make sure we have everything in place and in one place so we won't lose information. It's also a place to restore a lot of our updates, reports, and all that is shared with our clients. And there's a multitude of other things on there too. We post webinars, different things that affect your community. We also post market trends, stores that may be retracting or growing in your market. One other thing that we do here is retail representation. So we'll take Ottumwa, go out to these national trade shows such as Las Vegas. We call that pretty much the Super Bowl of our world of trade shows. And this is where we're highlighting you guys on a national level to these real estate directors, real estate managers, to these brand managers, that can only scrape the level. They're assigned so much of this country to look for growth. I'm going to dive in that here in a little bit, but just some of the shows that we represent you guys at: Vegas, Central, out in Chicago, Retail Live. There's a Midwest show, and there's a couple other shows across the country that we attend here on your behalf. And again, this is where Stephen and I will take these collective properties that we're working on, meet with our broker contacts, our real estate contacts out there, put opportunities in front of them so they can see, hey, here's a site that aligns with your growth. Here's a site that aligns with your site criteria, your site metrics, your demographic requirements. And that's kind of where we get the ball going. And, the biggest thing about these trade shows is networking in commercial real estate. Networking and the relationships that you have kind of run that world. And that's why our trusted relationships that we have with our retailer partners are very important. And that's kind of where we can kind of go out there and flex our muscle with our clients at these trade shows. Some of the things, part of this relationship I'm going to cover here is a long list. I'm going to try to skip through some of it, but things that we provide, are options for property owners, understanding their properties, analyzing their properties, cataloging them, understanding the hurdles, giving them guidance on possibility. And that's on top of just doing the regular, hey, I'm going to set you in front of this retailer, make that conversation go, and talk about options. But we go through a void analysis, target list of retailers and restaurants. This is curated down to your region, to your state, but mainly to the site specific. Because every retailer can't fit on the same site. Even though commercial real estate is kind of cookie cutter, your sites aren't always cookie cutter, and the opportunities aren't all the same either. So we want to provide to these retailers, to these brands, what makes sense. What is the best possible option for them to come to the community, and we want to make sure we line that up as strict as possible. Again, we're identifying retail market areas that are within, the same characteristic of your retail nodes. This is called peer analysis. We're comparing, Ottumwa's CTA or consumer trade area to other consumer trade areas alike. And we're looking in those communities, looking in those CTAs to see what brands are in there that make sense to be brought to Ottumwa or for us to present opportunities to them. So again, this is just this puzzle piece of a metric that we're building out and building the story to these retailers on. Tapestry segmentations or mosaics. Every community in this country, believe it or not, is stereotyped. And brands look at these tapestries to understand, like, hey, does my product fit in this community? Does, you know, our algorithm, does the consumer basis make sense in order to bring a store here? At the end of the day, these retailers are only going to go, these businesses are only going to go to places what makes sense and what makes money. So I'm sure as you get that question a lot, it's like, why is this certain brand here, not here? Why is this certain brand not here? Well, there's plenty of metrics, the reason why. But again, we're here to influence, you know, as much as possible, from site selection, you know, to showing the demographic overviews of the community to influence. Again, proactive recruitment. We have a little saying in our office is persistence with our outreach. Sometimes we get feedback, we deliver that to the client, to our clients. Hey, a retailer may say, hey, I would love to be in Ottumwa, but not right now. Look, check back with us in 6 months. Check back with us in a year. And that's just because, hey, they may not have a franchisee. They may not have this market or this community as an expansion on their expansion plans. Retailers usually at the beginning of the year look at, hey, where can we go to expand our brand to bring more dollars, for our stakeholders that invest in these companies. We deliver updates. We have a form that we're rolling out. It's called it's called a quarterly business review, a QBR. Essentially what that does, it goes over trailing 3 months of the work we've been doing in the community, and that's delivered again on Basecamp. And, one thing that always gets our clients' eyes going is looking at mobile data or geofencing. If you're familiar with tools like Placer AI that has these metric reports or has these geofence reports, we're able to look at the current retailers and the current businesses in the community to understand, hey, where's the reach from these consumers? Where are their, where's this block group? Where is this segmentation that's shopping here? We can see the visitor traction in these communities. So again, we use that information to understand, hey, the McDonald's is doing well, so it makes sense to bring this brand, or the Aldi is doing well in the community. We need to try to chase some of these down within the segmentation that makes sense. Kind of talk briefly about that CTA, and the data. Again, we want to be here to provide as much data as possible. Data doesn't make the deal happen all the time. Sometimes it's financial hurdles. Sometimes it's having an operator that's available for opportunities. But again, the data is a good foundation for us to look at, just to compare the baseline to what we know these retailers want and need in the community in order to do a store. Again, some of the going to recap here, some of the opportunities that we've brought here to community over the last 3 years. Most recently, you see the Jersey Mike's backfield the clinic out there. Ollie's is getting ready to come on board, and the Five Below that opened up last year. And there's some ongoing retailers that we're chasing right now. This is redacted, of course, for public record, but going after the National Chicken brand, very well known. A national drive-through coffee user, off-price clothing store, and another national clothing store / soft good user that's taking down roughly 30,000 square feet of space. So there's more that we're going after, but right now this is the prominent traction, that we have with these brands. So we want to continue getting, sorted out through opportunities that we have to get them here in the community. Just looking at the return on investments, Jersey Mike's is doing about 1.3 million in annual sales. I know there's a local option here of 1%, so I added these numbers to that local option of 1% for each brand. So Jersey Mike's looking at about $13,000 in AUV of average sales tax collection on the city's end. Ollie's is looking at about 4.2 million in that, so about 42,000 per year in sales tax collection. Five Below is doing about 2.3, or about 23,000 per year in sales tax revenue. So, the bigger picture, even though at 1%, that's $78,000 in total annual new dollars coming into the community, and that also brings opportunities to that also brought opportunity to either revitalize space or fill second gen space opportunities. in here in the community. There's job creation behind that. That's always helpful, for communities, especially smaller communities that doesn't have that prominent job force. These are not, the sexiest jobs of the world, of course, but hey, these are opportunities to help keep those dollars spent within Ottumwa. And again, in those national brand recognition, synergy is a huge thing. Co-tenancy is a big thing for these brands. One brand won't come unless another brand is here. So this kind of gives us that domino effect and opportunity for us to go after that next tier or go after that next brand that falls in line with their synergy for different retailers. To kind of break this down, on average, 18 to 36 months. I always tell all my clients from the jump, this isn't a sprint, this is a marathon. We're in real estate does not move fast. Retail does not move fast. They take their time. There's a lot of steps, a lot of vetting that goes through to get these deals done. It starts there at the Wall Street level, as I'm sure you guys have stock options in companies. Well, your stock options is being played out in new store expansion. The only way a brand or a retailer can make more money is to sell more product, open new stores in areas where they can expand that profit margin to a new consumer profile. So you'll see different brands that you usually see in bigger metros. You say, hey, we need to do a small or rural style location to open up the door for more profit share across the brand. Well, that real estate director of that brand is tasked with so many stores to get open. He may have 200 stores. He may have 500 stores that open up in 2 years or 3 years. And that real estate director is probably sitting in Chicago, New York, LA. He doesn't know. He doesn't know about Ottumwa. He doesn't know about, rural markets across Iowa. So he's going to rely on those local tenant rep brokers to be that point person for him, to be the guy to go out there, tour your market. And 9 times out of 10, you guys don't even know they're here in your community, touring or looking at sites. They're driving around. We influence, this tenant rep broker to help identify those sites to take back to real estate committee or the real estate council for review. The real estate committee gets those sites. They have a long checklist of things. They're trying to X out this site as much as possible in order to, again, thoroughly vet the opportunity. It gets to the financials of the deal. Is this a sale? Is this a lease? Is this a build-to-suit opportunity? Does this make sense financially over a long lease term for a retailer? And if it does, it goes to an LOI, or letter of intent. And this is kind of where you guys start picking up, hey, that someone's snooping around in the market. Someone told me this, or you hear these things. And this is where, we report that back. We're not brokers. We don't negotiate deals here. We don't, give out, BOVs or brokers' opinions, volume of value for opportunities here. Here we're, again, being that puzzle peacemaker, or being that somewhat of a puppeteer of making sure that the opportunity aligns correctly with them. It goes back to community again for another final vetting. This is the most important one here. Again, this is going through any structural issues, if it's existing space, value. It's going over looking at final market projections, many different hurdles. Again, seeing if this financially makes sense to do. If it makes sense, it goes to a lease or purchase sales agreement for that property owners back and forth, or with their legal team doing red lines back and forth. And then it gets to that developer, that construction group. You usually might see your local GC or general contractor that may be relevant to Ottumwa area that may pick this up. And again, this is another big thing you'll see start coming out. And of course, the opening date. Again, some of the recap here. Again, we're giving updates daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly to our client, to our points of contact, so I'm all on the mark to understand, hey, what's moving and shaking in the community. I know you guys probably ask questions all the time about sites, or there may be something, guys are communicating back and forth about opportunities that we can help with. Again, that ongoing research and demographics, your numbers are always changing, so we want to stay up front as much as possible on the foreign or in front of the 8-ball when it comes to your demos. Again, sign up that consistent update, messaging, text. I'm always open, phone, text, email, And again, highlighting your notes, highlighting you guys on the national level at these shows and to these brokers and these local tenant rep brokers that are here in the area. And believe it or not, there's one broker here that's done 3 deals that we have a great relationship with here in the community. Is actually his wife is from here, got married here as well. So it's kind of good to have that. We have that relationship with someone that's very familiar with Ottumwa and know you guys really well and the opportunities here. So again, we want to be that extension to your team to help, attract that retail. So there's, again, those questions that come up. We want to be here to give the best answer we possibly can for some of the traction or some of the non-traction that we're getting. Retailers that say no or not right now, we want to, better abreast you guys of those opportunities. Now, I'd love to take some questions. Go ahead, Mayor. Sorry.
One of your slides talked about that you do daily and weekly outreach to national retailers and restaurants. What kind of feedback have you been getting from them over the last 3 years that we've contracted with Retail Strategies?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over. We get and say, hey, love to be here. Maybe that's a site or a brand that says, not a site, but a brand that says, hey, we really want to expand. We just don't have that type of market, fit currently. Maybe we need to wait a little bit. And that just comes back to when the retailers are always changing kind of their footprints. If you think about like Buffalo Wild Wings, they're doing this 15 to 2,000 square foot go concept, but they're not doing their full size concept in smaller towns anymore. So they're doing these smaller kind of pick up drive-through locations with limited interior seating. But we're getting yeses. Hey, I'd like to be here. Like the Jersey Mike's, that was pretty much a lineup or a home run opportunity for them as former space. Second gen space is something that these retailers are constantly asking for now. And the main thing, the reason why they ask for second gen space is the cost to build brand new. Construction costs are really, really high.
Asking for what space?
Second gen or previous space. So where a retailer was or business was in before.
One of the things that I was really hoping could get accomplished while I was mayor, but obviously it's not going to happen. But one of the things that I keep hearing everybody in our community want is a Target store back. We used to have one of the best Target stores in the state of Iowa, and it closed in 2016. We were the only Target store in Iowa that they closed. Burlington got to keep theirs, which is a comparable size community. Have you worked with Target at all in the last 3 years to see if they'd be reinterested in trying to come back to Ottumwa, even maybe on a smaller scale?
Yeah, we've worked and reached out to Target to do these smaller scale communities across Iowa. Actually, we've met with that regional broker to discuss these opportunities out of Des Moines. Target just isn't doing small market stores anymore. They're doing these larger metropolitan tight DMA markets where the saturation is there in place. And the reason they make that shift is think about like Kmart and Sears and down that row of brands that you don't see anymore. Think about Shopko. When these brands don't have that bolster of dollars and growth to keep up with the bigger players, Target's chasing the Walmarts of the world, even though of course there's Walmarts in place. Target has to make up market share elsewhere, and they can't bridge that gap in smaller communities. They're going to close that store for revenue. But we've reached out to them. We know they're doing stores now. Actually, our sister company, we work very closely with Target for the Southeast. And this is the first time they're starting to do stores in about a decade. So the new stores they're doing, they're not the full size locations. They're about 100,000 square feet at the largest. On average, they're about 75,000 square feet in these markets they're going into.
Yeah. Well, Kohl's is closing a lot of stores nationwide, and Kohl's is the only department store we have left in Ottumwa. So I sure hope they don't close our Kohl's store in Ottumwa.
Right. Well, promising news about that. Kohl's and Sephora, pretty much you see the new plus Sephora up on their signs. If your location has that Sephora, they're pretty much forecasting that this location is doing pretty well. And there's a neat tool that we have through our demographer where we can look at performance. I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but we can look at performance of those locations to understand, hey, this may be at risk just from a visitor number. We can't see what they're doing financially. There's a barrier of entry there, of course, but we can definitely look at those visit counts to understand, like, hey, maybe this store is not doing well. Keep this on our radar. But
And I've just got one other question, and I'll see if any of the council have any other questions. What work have you done, if any, with our current mall owner? Because I'm real concerned that our current mall owner hasn't really tried very hard to update the mall building to make it more attractive for retail to come to Ottumwa. Have you had any conversations or done anything with the mall owner?
oh yeah, that's probably one of our top priorities we've had in this partnership is working with the mall owner. We have a relationship with them just because there's opportunity. He has properties in other client communities, so we kind of have to work cross to work with them to get opportunities. But I don't know how much I can disclose, but speaking in general terms, right now we're a little bit got our hands tied here just because of the financial situation that's going on there and the actual infrastructure issues that are in place there. So if we're looking at a dollar assessment amount, it's going to be high to get someone in there, especially the two department stores that we've working with to somehow get into that, to work with them, somehow get them in that place. It's a dollar amount it's going to come down to. And one thing on top of, and this is nationwide, this isn't, very selective to Ottumwa, but, public-private partnerships are a big thing now to get these brands going in communities. So that's either incentive, that's infrastructure help, that's TIF help to get these brands in place. And, there's some communities across the country that, there's shopping center owners that have deferred maintenance or issues with the property where, the city's not on the same page with their owners. Well, that's a part where we can come in, work with the city, work with the retailer to get them in place to help influence that. Because sometimes at the end of the day, these property owners are going to do what they're going to want to do and choose what they want to do with their sites. Even on the property end side, it has to make money for them because you're not going to build brand new and take a loss. So again, I think this is an opportunity where if the city is looking at, updating their comprehensive plan or updating a TIF district, updating CIDs, this is where we can come in and help influence that and guide that in directions that help kind of get over that hurdle. It's not a guarantee, of course, but, there's related to that question you're answering right now without going into too much detail in public record. We've had many conversations. We've brought many retailers to the table here where it just doesn't fit currently, mainly on a financial setting or financial options right now.
Does council have any questions they'd like to ask?
You asked me a question.
So I'm glad to hear what you're talking about there. I think this is the first that I've heard from your organization, being newer being the new kid on the block here. But so you guys had direct connections with Jersey Mike, all these, am I saying that right? Five Below, you brought those in.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's good. That's why I was going to ask what successes you'd had, and you mentioned them there in your presentation. What does it cost us? What are we paying you? How does that work? I should know that.
I didn't know if I'm allowed. Okay, yeah. So currently our contract with the partnership here is $45,000 per year.
Okay.
On that. So.
What do you really think is the main reason for major retailers no longer wanting to look at smaller size communities like Ottumwa? Can you put your thumb on any one or two factors that seem to really kind of be a resounding theme when you're working with these smaller size communities, why they can't get major retail anymore?
Well, it's not that they can't get major retail. It boils down. If I go back to that slide that shows the timeline at the bottom, it has a big thing that says it's about profit. There's macroeconomics that is a huge play of this on current market conditions. A little bit of instability, especially brands that import a lot of their goods in for their stores. You're thinking like Harbor Freight, where a lot of their products made overseas. They kind of have to do that, but that's not really specific to this community. We're seeing that in rural communities across the country, that these brands have to take more time and take more due diligence and expansion. They have to bring small market opportunities into play and kind of build a plan out to expand those brands. So it's not necessarily like, hey, we're too small. We don't have the demographic, set point to say, hey, let's just stamp this right now to come to Ottumwa. It's just they don't have a product that makes sense for less density in a community, because they're looking beyond just your city limits. They're looking at a consumer trade area where they need that density to build projects or to bring themselves to the community.
Because I often think they don't do that.
Mhm.
I mean, if they would look at a 60-mile radius around Ottumwa, there would be no question that we could not keep an Olive Garden or a Texas Roadhouse busy 7 days a week.
Yeah.
They'd look at the size of Ottumwa and they think, oh, it's too small. But if they looked at a 60-mile radius of Ottumwa, you're talking close to 125, 130,000 people. And I'm glad to hear you say that they do look at that, because my thought is they don't really look beyond the size of the city itself, and they really should look at a retail area, because people think nothing of driving a half an hour anymore to go out to dinner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mayor, I wish you could come to Vegas with me and do have these meetings with me just to hammer that point. But yes, to your point, we are making that point to them. We are saying, hey, look, we're looking at more than just city limits here. City limits, especially the retailers, they don't really care about the city limits. They're looking at that 3 to 5, 10-minute drive time. They're looking at that 5, 10, 15-mile radius, around a certain side and saying, hey, does this button in? And and they come back to us and say, hey, Stephen, I like this market. I like other sets, your demographic set points here in this community, but we just don't have a plan to expand here. We got to stay within these realms currently. But hey, check back in 6 months, check in 12 months, check back at Red River. We may have a new either site plan. We have a new brand. I mean, not a new brand, but a new store for rural markets. For example, Starbucks and TJ Maxx both have a rural market play to come into smaller towns. But again, they're boxed out. They're oversaturated in the metro areas. They can go to Des Moines, and every city around Des Moines has a TJ Maxx. So they can't expand more in this market. So guess what? They're going to have to, in that market, they have to expand out. They have to get that smaller market component.
Did Retail Strategies have anything to do with bringing TJ Maxx to Ottumwa?
No, we did not. That was coming in about a month into our partnership. We actually, that broker who I was talking about, we work with very close. When we reached out to him about that brand, he let us know, hey, we already got something going on here in the community. But he gave me some feedback. He was one of the early market, aspects. Well, he gave us good market aspect about Ottumwa coming into this partnership. And that kind of goes back to when I was saying, hey, your local brokers know your market like the back of your hand. So he was able to tell that story to TJX Corporate to get them here in the community. He also gave us great insight about other opportunities, like the mall, like the former Target box, where he's had challenges or probably had holdups where it was easier for them to go into Plaza.
Well, and the only other final comment I'll make, then I'll be quiet. I think a lot of those retailers don't understand. Well, I think they understand. I'm not sure the public understands. People say, oh, we want retail stores back in Ottumwa. We want major department stores. Well, then quit shopping online, because online shopping makes it very difficult to have brick and mortar stores anymore. And I understand retail's changed, but that fits into the equation big time. And that's why I think a lot of brick and mortar stores don't show up anymore, because they have a lot of business through online shopping, and you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, there's no doubt that online shopping is kind of the thing now. Consumers look at online shopping as it's a barrier entry from building a brick and mortar store, but they also look at that
And the convenience of it.
exactly, you're hitting on the nail for the convenience of it. It's less infrastructure they got to pay into. That's less overhead, less building a distribution center somewhere to service. So to that point, yes. And there's another thing about that. It's called an omni-channel or bricks to clicks, meaning that, for example, in recent times, you can look at Walmart. They have that Walmart pickup. They get you to come to the store and pick up items here, or they may send you a coupon. Hey, here's a buy one, get one. You come to the store. So that's also called bricks to clicks, omni-channeling. Again, not every brand is doing that. That's usually your bigger consumer goods brands or general merchandise brands that do the omni-channeling. But to your point, yes, we are seeing a bite of online shopping taking that, but it actually is the exact opposite when it comes to clothing stores. 75% of consumers still prefer to shop, in store, and 83% of that consumer still prefers to shop and try on clothing in store. So there is a market share of that's going digital or going online. But there has to be a bricks to clicks because even online shopping now is somewhat still volatile, especially for smaller shops, smaller businesses to do online. Just because they can't get that brand necessarily out there in a more visual sense. And we're human beings, we like to touch and see things, and retailers actually capitalize off of that experience, the shopping experience. So, but we're seeing a fair divide and a common ground between online shopping and actual brick and mortar shopping.
Well, thank you for what you're doing for Ottumwa.
Absolutely.
Does anybody on the council have any other questions they'd like to ask? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to dominate this conversation.
I didn't hear the answer to whether or not Target made a direct response to you regarding whether or not they would ever come back to Ottumwa.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, no. I probably didn't answer that directly, so I apologize. So Target did give us feedback and saying it's a not right now, proposition to keep reaching out to them to see if that opportunity is available for them. So again, just from what we've worked on in the past and having our relationship with Target, they haven't done new stores in almost a decade, unless it's repositioning stores. And they're only targeting those right now. They're going after those major metro cities or bedroom communities currently right now. They just don't have that small community or rural community concept anymore.
Do you think, given that, do you think there's a concern that the other smaller size communities in Iowa that currently have targets are going to maybe lose their targets then too? Do you have any thought on that? I'm not going to hold you to anything, but do you think they have a fear of losing their Target stores too? Because we lost our Target store in 2016 and we were comparable size town to Mason City and Clinton and Burlington. And we were the only, and it was a profitable store and yet they still closed it. So do you think there's possibility that these other smaller communities in Ottumwa, Iowa that have Target stores might end up losing theirs?
There possibly could. Again, I can't answer that definitively. I can't, speak for them, but there possibly could. And here's a project I want you guys to look at, or I want you guys to do, is go on Google Maps, type in Target, and look at those locations that are sparse out from your major metros, and look at the type of cities they're in. There's one that comes to mind out in very far western Nebraska in Scottsbluff. There's a Target out there, but the reason that Target is still open and going, it services about 150-mile radius between the next store. So, and it's collecting a huge group of people because that city is a big hub and spoke for the region. So I think that's one way that those stores are somewhat still are open. I can't tell you directly why I can tell you why some certain stores, but there are still communities, like you mentioned, that still have that store. So there's something in place that either performs really, really well. They're bridging that dollar gap in performance somehow, or they're getting that market visit or that share that makes sense to keep that store open. And sometimes they keep stores open to keep other brands out, in these communities.
See, that's what our Target store used to do. They used to draw from a big area. I mean, south of Interstate 80, there's no Target in central Iowa. There's only a Target on each end of the state in Council Bluffs and Burlington. We used to have people from Kirksville, Missouri and northern Missouri come to Target all the time. So, I mean, they did reach out to a lot bigger area than just Ottumwa,
Right.
kind of like what you said with that other store.
Well, I can give you a kind of a very close to home example of that, and this is somewhat silly, but I live in a neighborhood, pretty much it's only a bedroom community. There's not much retail there. We had a Starbucks in our community. This is a community just outside of Birmingham. That's where we're based out of, where Steve and I work. And this Starbucks probably has the tightest rooftop density of any Starbucks in the state of Alabama, because it's literally in the middle of a neighborhood that's about 10,000 people that drive by it every single day. Well, Starbucks had to close 1% of their stores, and guess what? That store was on their closing list. They didn't give us the exact reason why it closed, but the parameters they said, hey, the store doesn't doing good financially from a sales perspective. It doesn't align with their new store approach or their existing store approach, or it was part of the chop due to Starbucks has a bunch of things going on right now with unions and all that. If I remember correctly, that was a union store, so they're trying to kind of buckle up as much as they possibly can. But there's multiple reasons why they close these locations. There's multiple reasons why Target closed so many locations at once. You think about like brands like Herberger's that was there, getting shut out by other clothing and other department stores nationwide that just can't keep up with it. And they don't want to take that financial hit. So they file bankruptcy, sell off as much property as possible, or they sell into private equity. That's a big thing that we're seeing right now. For example, Jersey Mike's just did a big private equity deal. They got bought by private equity. So who knows what direction that's going to go in now. It could be, like when I say microeconomic issues or macro issues, it can be a multitude of things, the reason why they chop stores. But but to that question of, yes, we follow up with Target many times, not just for this community, but across the country for Iowa, to see if there's an opportunity to bring these smaller store concepts back.
With regard to the mall, do you deal with the manager there? Is Mike is his name, or do you deal through him to the owner of the mall?
Well, the communications that we've had is when we've actually been to the property with the property manager in question. We've toured the actual site, been inside the boxes there to understand what type of opportunity is actually here in place. But when it comes to passing, a broker along, we pass that to their real estate company or to the owner themselves.
Anybody else have any other questions, comments? Phil, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming in person. I know that when we're looking at this, and Councilman Reed had said we haven't had updates. Well, this is a long game scenario. This is a 3-year agreement that's the initial one at least is coming to a close, and hopefully we'll be able to work out something going forward, because I think, as you saw, even when they're successful, it can be 18 to 36 months to have, from the initial contact to getting somebody on site. And so I appreciate you making the trip and being here in person rather than trying to do this remotely. So thank you.
Absolutely. And if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Amal and Mark can pass my contact information out to any one of you guys to reach out and ask questions, or if there's certain brands you want us to target. We keep a refresh list every single year. We make a refresh list of outreach every single year to new brands. And again, there's always changing opportunities with these retailers. And that's why we want to be on the forefront of any opportunity that makes sense for Ottumwa. But thank you guys for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't
anything else?
Nope, nothing else tonight.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is to identify any citizens who want to speak on any agenda items on tonight's city council agenda. I don't have any slips up here, but I'll still ask if anyone wants to speak on any agenda item. What?
Nothing.
You're hard to ignore.
Anybody want to speak on any agenda items? Okay, if not, we will move on. We've got one public hearing tonight, so we'll go ahead and proceed with that.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposal to convey certain real estate property located adjacent to Legion Field to Ottumwa Community School District.
I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and I believe, Phil, you're going to talk about this?
Yes. So earlier this year, the Ottumwa School District inquired about the possibility of acquiring additional land around Legion Field to build out 2 additional fields for softball and baseball. And that would be the high school softball and middle school baseball. The district would take on the operations and maintenance of the area. In addition to the maintenance and in consideration of future improvements, a transfer of property would be in order. City attorney has prepared the attached purchase agreement for the transfer of property and outlined the roles and responsibilities of each party. And I know we have Superintendent McGrory here to help address any questions or provide the perspective from the district and what they're looking to do as well, if anyone would have any questions for him.
I got a couple.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming. Thanks
bet.
for coming. I just had a couple about the Babe Ruth field,
Sure.
the Babe Ruth. So you did make an agreement with the Babe Ruth board and it was favorable,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
I just, my couple questions just revolve around, could there be any, what's their use look like? I mean, will they still be able to use it at their general times, tournaments, or when they need it?
They will. We've been working extensively with Babe Ruth, and they're really excited about the project. We've worked with them for quite a while, and we love working with them because their interests align with ours as far as developing the baseball program. And so we'd never had problems with scheduling before, even with adding our middle school. We've started middle school baseball as well. And so I think they're excited to have this opportunity, but also neither party sees any real issue with the scheduling of it.
Okay.
And so we think it's going to work really well. And I think they feel like this is a real opportunity for them to maybe to develop their numbers.
Okay. And if there was, only one or two other questions, and I do really
Sure.
appreciate you being here. If the agreement would change, could it change suddenly? Could it change? Would they be involved in the change if there was a change in the agreement? And even if there was a change, and I understand sometimes there may have
Right.
to be changes in agreements.
Yeah.
Would their needs still be taken into consideration for their league,
I think that's why they've appreciated the relationship as much as we have, is
Right.
they know they're a priority as well as American Legion. And so if we were to have any type of change, we've tried to involve them in the process and make sure that we get their input. We're not going to make a change unless they embrace it as well.
and they would be in on the plan.
Yes.
All right. Hey, those are the questions I had. I really appreciate you coming and answering those.
No-
So
no
thank you very
problem.
much.
Thanks for having me. Any other questions?
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I was gonna say that was part of what was drafted into the real estate purchase agreement and the communication between the school district and the city staff on this. That was one of the things, was to take into account Babe Ruth, that currently is leasing through the city, but then would look to lease through the school district. So very similar in how they approach that, and be a negotiation as to the terms and scheduling and all of those things be part of that. I know this is one of the areas where we looked at, it was part of the comprehensive plan, as we mentioned at a prior meeting, and the district has the ability to enhance those fields on a quicker timeline than what we would as a city. So it creates an instant improvements to that area, in addition to then taking on the ongoing maintenance, reducing some of the workload on staff in that regard as well. So that's where I think there's some mutual benefit there. And I'm sorry.
Right. And I agree with that. And I think there was some mutual benefit, but I do feel better with you answering those
Good.
questions for me. So, and I'm glad it's a good partnership, and that it's obviously going to do well. So,
So to clarify, the school district is purchasing for this for $1. However, there are, sorry, you can hear me. So let's say that the school district decides that it no longer wants the property. So then what happens?
Yeah, there's some reversion rights that are in the agreement. One of the things is that if the district decided that they no longer wanted to utilize the fields for ball fields, the city would have the first right to purchase that back at that same dollar. So we wouldn't sell it to them for $1 and then they sell it to us for $1 million. It would be that same cost there. And it has to be used for recreational, the ball field purposes. So there are some different things that are built into the agreement.
And I would just add, kind of what Phil's saying, it's a similar agreement to when we bought the baseball field for $1.
And I appreciate that. I think
Yeah.
it's just good to be transparent for our public too, to understand that we did make those provisions.
Yeah, and it really was, it's not for the district or the city to have one up on the other. We've got a shared tax base for a good portion. The school district obviously reached out a little bit further than our borders. But it really is meant to be a mutual agreement that's going to be mutually beneficial for both entities and the public.
Right. And I think Councilperson Galloway is kind of parents with me too. I think we both here are on the same page, just to make sure it's what's best for the kids, the parents, the league.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that any entity would do anything bad.
Right.
I just wanted, and I'm sure she did, just wanted to be sure of the agreements and how it would play out.
Yep.
So the questions that I had have been asked and answered, and I appreciate that. I have talked to just a parent with kids in the program, and they thought it was a good idea too. So that's the
good to hear.
feedback that I've gotten.
That's great to hear.
Any other questions for Superintendent McCrory? Thank you, Mike, for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
Chris will take the vote. The roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 180, 2025, approving and authorizing the conveyance of certain real property located adjacent to Legion Field to Ottumwa Community School District. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 180, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, we have one ordinance to deal with tonight.
Ordinance number 3250, 2025, amending the municipal code of the city of Ottumwa, Iowa by amending various sections of chapter 23, motor vehicles and traffic for the purpose of updating parking and traffic regulations within the city of Ottumwa. Recommendation, pass the first consideration of ordinance number 3250, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move to approve.
Second.
And I believe Philip Bergmeyer, our Public Works Director, is going to speak on this.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So these ordinance changes update parking and traffic regulations in and around downtown and also near Ottumwa High School. The changes around the high school were requested by the school district to improve parking and traffic circulation. And the downtown changes were initiated by either businesses and or their customers. City staff have reviewed these changes and support the updated regulations. So for the most part, it's changing parking times in certain areas and changing the direction of traffic in some alleyways.
One of the big changes that I picked up on is the city's going to change the hour-and-a-half limit in the River Drive parking lot to 4 hours. So it's comparable to the other city lots downtown. Is that correct?
Yeah, we debated 2, but I think even that was too short for some of the services provided around there. And there is no 3-hour parking, so we just upped it to 4, which is the other. There's no 3 hour. So.
Any questions for Philip?
Where was that location?
The river, behind River Hills, between River Drive and Main Street.
Thank you.
I know when staff met, we were looking at also trying to simplify some of this with the limits of parking, making it easier for the enforcement side of that as well. And so you'll see there's, rather than having 3, 4, 5 different time parkings throughout the block, it's all more consistent.
Right.
And I
Any
think,
other questions for Philip?
And I thought it was pretty easy to go on the city website and look up the municipal code and find out, because at first I'm looking at this, okay, what is the change being, some of them were obvious, but most of them were not. And so you could look up the code section and there it was. You could see what it was about and so it's good for our people to know they can look up that municipal code right on the city website and see these sorts of things as well.
Yep, correct. Yeah. So all the parking regulations are in city code as far as time limits or, different directions and stuff like that. It's all spelled out in city code. So
I assume once this gets passed, if the council approves the change, then there'll be new signage come out to reflect where it needs to be adjusted.
yeah, we'll update all the signage as well.
Any other questions for Philip? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is departmental board or communication recommendations and reports.
Brown water booster pump rehabilitation. Recommendation: approve the purchase from the quote provided by Linder Electric in the amount of $34,150 for rehabilitating the brown water booster pump for the water pollution control facility.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
And I believe John Lloyd, our superintendent of our wastewater treatment facility, is going to speak on this.
Mayor and Council, just asking to utilize $34,150 out of capital to go ahead and rebuild this skid unit. What it does is it recycles our disinfected water back through our plant so we can use it in situations where we need to clean tanks. We can go through 500 gallons pretty easy. So that's 500 gallons that we don't have to utilize from water and hydro. The other benefit is we can get parts from multiple suppliers rather than this just being proprietary. We've knocked our heads against that situation for the last year.
I'm just curious, what if you had to buy a new booster pump, what would something like that cost?
The pump's probably going to be, the pump itself is going to be about $5,000. A lot of this is just going to be the panel, the PLC, the electronics within it to be able to measure the differential pressures between water coming in and water going out.
So this is a much less expensive alternative. Obviously, if you can replace the bad parts, they'd have to go buy a whole new pump system.
Correct, because otherwise, like in the other quotes, this one wins by about $6,000. The highest one is probably what a new one would come close to costing, if not a little bit more.
Does council have any questions for John regarding this item?
Do you have any idea when the last time was that this pump or system was repaired or replaced?
We have put some parts in it, but as far as the whole skid unit, I think that was installed about 15 years ago.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council for John? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
The next item, we have 4 resolutions, so we'll go into resolutions.
Resolution number 176, 2025, awarding the contract and approving the contract, insurance, and bonds for the Bridgeview Center roofing project. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 176, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
And Philip Bergmeyer, our Public Works Director, is going to handle this.
All right, thank you, Mayor. This project consists of, this is kind of a refresher of what this project consists of. It's to remove and replace the existing roof system on the Bridgeview Center. But also we're going to replace existing damaged installation and then cover the entire roof with a 1/2 inch high density cover board. The new roof is going to be a 60 mil EPDM, which is a type of rubber. Also, we're going to put access ladders in to be able to get to all the different roof levels from the hatches that are already in place, rather than having to set up ladders on the outside of the building. Bid alternate 1 We'll increase the roof insulation over occupied spaces from R24 to R30 by installing additional 2 inches of insulation. And bid alternate 2 was to make the entire roof black instead of having white sections and black sections. Phase 1 is set to begin this fall and will replace the worst areas of the roofing. It will be complete by November 19th, 2025. And phase 2 will have a completion date of July 30th of 2026. Bids were received and opened by the city of Ottumwa on August 27th, 2025 at 2:00. We received 8 bids. The lowest total bid, including the alternates, was from Encore Roofing of Pella, Iowa, in the amount of $733,000. All the required bond, certificate of insurance, and contract are on file with the city clerk. And just as a summary, the base bid was $639,000. The additional insulation was $110,000, which our engineer recommended we install for that price because the savings payback period is pretty short. And then alternate 2 was a reduction of $16,000 to put all black in there instead of partially white. And then the total amount was $733,000.
So is the roof going to be black or white?
It's going to be black.
And that's cheaper than white, correct?
Yes. And it's purely aesthetic. There is no real cost savings to having a white roof. And depending on the year you have or the weather in a certain year, sometimes black's better off, sometimes white better off. Right now it's kind of a light gray color. And we thought white might look better from Jefferson Street Bridge, for instance, but most roofs are black. And they said that 90% of the work they do is black roofs. As far as the engineer goes, he said 90% of the roofs he does are black. So we didn't think it was worth the extra $16,000 just for an aesthetic issue.
Is there a cost difference between black or white?
Yeah, black, like I said, it's the vast majority of roofs are black. So black's cheaper. We even heard back from one manufacturer, they're not even going to make white roof next year. So it could have been an issue with, even getting a white membrane as well. So.
Well, it seems to me like, and I'm not a technician, it seems to me like white is a better reflective surface.
It is, but it's
We're
also.
trying to defend the
Yeah. But so like if you go to like Alabama, Mississippi, white's better because you're primarily a heating climate. If you go to northern Iowa, Minnesota, black is better because south is a cooling climate. And the north, you're a heating climate. Whereas here, you're a little bit of both. Whatever it costs more in the summertime, you're going to lose that money in the winter. If you think about it, like in the summertime, you're only cooling it down maybe 20 degrees from 95 to 75 inside. Whereas in the wintertime, you might be warming it up 80 degrees, depending on how cold it gets outside. So the heating side of it, even though it's a shorter time frame, it kind of dominates those numbers.
Is the roof that's on it right now white or black?
It's light gray.
Light gray. Okay.
Yep.
And if I understand it correctly, the people that are bidding this actually were the ones that originally did the roof on the event center. 20
No,
years
the
ago.
engineers are the original ones who designed the building. But the contractor has not done work on this
They
building
did not
yet.
do the original roof then.
No.
Okay.
Any other questions for Philip? Okay, if not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Resolution number 178, 2025, approving a downtown revitalization grant for Tiki X located at 317 East Main Street. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 178, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, and I believe Amal, you're going to handle this.
Yes, Your Honor.
For everybody who doesn't know Amal Elter, she is our new community development director. Well, she's not so new now. She's been around for a few months, but I still think of her as new.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, everyone. A vibrant destination. That was a vision articulated in the 1996 community or downtown development plan that is later reinforced by the vision in the 2040 comprehensive plan. The vision also wanted to make sure downtown remains as the hub for culture, business, and people. So the city has been consistent in how they envision downtown and how downtown is maintained. City continue to invest in the downtown. Downtown revitalization grants were born out of that vision as part of the implementation. Just like Mission 500, it was an outcome of the planning efforts. In 2022, Council adopted a resolution outlining a guide for downtown grants, a total of 6 programs, with the intention to support redevelopment and encourage business growth in downtown and throughout the community. Under consideration here today, an application for kitchen equipment to expand into food options. Location is 317 East Main. Building is over 100 years old. Private investment has already been made in the building, upgrading the systems, bringing it up, plumbing, conditioning, and all those upgrades, with estimated total investment in the project around $400,000. Every time we get a request, a part of the evaluation is to check for consistency according to strategic planning, priorities, and implementation guide. So staff did a review and found out the project or the project on request are to be consistent with the comprehensive plan priorities. Those are quality of life and community character, as well as consistent with the implementation strategy that is included in the comprehensive plan. Project found to be helping with revitalizing downtown core, enhancing vibrancy by creating a destination in downtown, support for homegrown businesses, and leveraging private investment. We also check for consistency with existing policy. Project was found to be consistent with the policy goals for downtown revitalization grants by preserving downtown buildings, reducing barriers for or barriers to redevelopment, and encouraging business growth. Council has consistently emphasized support for homegrown businesses throughout the history. Project is a locally created venture that is also planning to create future opportunity by including a roughed-in space to add another small business. Overall, we also look at the economic benefit behind the support of this project. We're expecting increased downtown foot traffic, diversified dining options with the offerings that are going to be bringing to downtown, and then catalytic private investment. There's always a spillover benefit when you invest in a property. And then also long-term activation of a historic property. Those were one of the priorities identified in the 1996 vision plan, adaptive reuse, and the purpose for creating those downtown revitalization grants. Recommendation, staff recommends approving the grant, subject to program guideline. council approval of the request will confirm council commitment to both downtown vitality and business growth. Next steps from here would be executing the grant by staff. And one correction I'd like to make, we will not be needing a budget amendment. After the agenda was out, Cole came back with confirmation that there are monies in the operating budget that they were not under the downtown grants line item. Cole can speak more to that if you guys have any question in regard to the budget.
Yeah, Cole sent out some information that the money was there and that wasn't going to be an issue, that it wouldn't require a budget amendment.
Yeah,
Correct.
the confusion came is that when Amal looked at the capital improvement plan, which had the downtown development grants in it, it listed all of the different programs. In the budget, there is a line item for downtown development grants that matched the amount in the CIP, but there was nothing budgeted for fiscal year 26. Instead, there was money budgeted for each of those programs individually in different line items.
And there was a line, because I did check the budget. There was a line that is downtown development grants, has zero budget.
Right.
So yeah, it's just how the budget was presented was a little bit.
Right.
Also, we'll continue refining our administrative procedure. I will be back to council with an updated application, criteria for evaluation, form of agreement, and a reimbursement form. I'll be back to council.
Yeah, I personally think it's just a good policy and a good practice to have all these kinds of downtown grants be run by the council. So I think that's good that they get to see these, each and every one of them, and be able to ask whatever questions they have.
It's always nice to go over the projects and the additions and the concepts and the vision. And also, I think it builds confidence and invite more investment.
Does council have any questions for Amal?
Does the city of Ottumwa own this building?
No.
No,
Who owns this building?
the applicant, the owner of the building.
Yep.
They might be here in the audience. You wanna? You
So,
wanna walk up here?
Today.
If you have questions for them, they can speak to their projects better than I do.
And I actually have quite a few questions, not actually for the applicant, but for Amal and Cole and Phil. So Councilperson Cavanis, I didn't mean to interrupt if you had questions for them.
No, I've asked my question.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to start, first off, we just talked about the finances, so let's start there. I am pretty disappointed in this because I believe had I not come and talked with Administrator Rath and Cole, that this would not have been, it would have been overlooked. I received some concerns about this. Multiple concerns about this, people being told we didn't have the grant funding. And so I contacted Administrator Rath and asked to sit down with him. Cole was in his office at that time. However, again, I was told by Cole that we did have the funding prior to this coming out. And then I saw the agenda and I was very confused with that last line about budget considerations. So I went back down to Administrator Rath's office, and you were also there, and was again told we didn't have any budget for it. However, that was clarified. And so I'm very concerned about, and I understand that there was a line item with downtown grants, but when I actually said, hey, what about, and I'm looking at my phone because I have some of the information here. When I pulled it up, I said, what about the white box grant, the restaurant grant, the facade? Then we were able to locate that in the budget. And I guess that's just a little bit frustrating for me because I remember looking at this pretty clearly because these are programs that I sit on the Main Street board, and these are programs that we use. and this confusion got to the point where when we even had, I think we had our graduation for a business academy, that it was questioned on, do we even talk about these grants because we don't know if there's the funding. So that's a big frustration for me. So I guess I'm going to put that back into your hands on how you want to answer that, or if there an answer is needed, but I feel like there is.
Council member, first of all, what it is I didn't know what the grant was for. If somebody came in and said, this is the restaurant grant, I would have looked at the budget and said, we got the restaurant grant. What I was asked was, is there money in for downtown development grants, generalized? When I look at the budget, no, there wasn't anything budgeted. Once I found out it was a restaurant grant, I says, yeah, we have money for the restaurant grant. So there was a lot of miscommunication on a lot of people's parts. Again, the confusion goes back to what information that mall had, what information was provided to finance, what information was provided to the administrator. And that out of that, once we knew exactly what everything was for, that information was clear, we could get that information out. So there was some confusion based upon the different bits of information that were already available.
So how do we fix that communication? Because I mean, that could.
How we fix that issue
Correct.
is that now that we have everybody in place in the next budget session,
Okay.
we will know where the money's going. Additionally, what it is I hope to consolidate some of these programs out of the fund that they're in, because right now they're funded in 151, which is other bond projects. They really should be in Fund 174, which is community development. So what we'll probably look to do is to consolidate those back into 174, create either one omnibus budget item, and then use some of the new software to assign activity codes. But what we'll do is we will try to get those consolidated so it's a little more clear and concise. I will say that using Fund 171 is good for certain projects, but when you have multiple projects under one department, they should be in the fund that's already created for that department.
You just said 171. Did you mean 151?
I mean, yeah, 151 and 174. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. I guess my next question is too, and I understand on here you're talking about revamping policy. So I'm going to come back to that because I have something with that too. But prior to that, we have not seen in the time that I have been on here, so the time that these programs have been on, we have not seen one of these come to council. In the past, the department has a committee set up, which has been a great committee. I think Rippling Waters, Legacy, are on it. And there's some other partners on it too, some pretty significant partners that play a part in our community. You know, they've been trusted to help us kind of decide that. I think especially with Legacy being a partial funder for some of the programs. Anyways, so I'm wondering why now this one is in front of the council. And again, I understand we want to refine our administrative procedures, but those haven't been refined yet. So I'm again wondering why this one is in front of the council today.
Well, I can tell you my experience. I've never done a grant without going to council. Any public funds commitments, they're always decided by council. They go to council. I've never done a grant in isolation.
And I will support that in that if we are going to distribute public funds through grants, the council either needs to approve them at a council meeting by the vote or set a policy expressly giving that power to either a committee, as you said, talked about, or to the department head. At this point, there is no policy according to that.
That's not true. The policy's in the packet.
We did review the packet and the policy
It is.
has stated.
You know, and I know everybody, it's getting
Okay.
a little. I
So-
think,
so-
but Cole, hold on a minute. I think this agenda item was about Mr. Simonson and his wife getting their grant, and we've gone off into policy discussions and everything else, which are important. Don't get me wrong, but I think we're being unfair to them by discussing this right here, right now.
And I would disagree with that. I would push back because all of these aspects play into this. And don't get me wrong, I thought about asking for this to be removed, but these two have waited long enough.
I'm not
And
saying anything
so,
about what you said.
but what I'm going to say is I do have questions about the policy too, but that's why I
And
brought
I
that
think
up,
we
so.
should put something about the policy on the agenda. I agree.
I agree. I don't need.
It's just with Mr. Simonson here, let's take care of him and.
So let me correct it, is that to my knowledge, there was not a policy to this. If there is a policy, I have I'll gladly accept it. What I'm worried about is that if we are distributing public funds without express consent of the council, either through themselves or through a separate board or person, that we could find that as get an audit finding on that. And that is not something that we want to have.
There is a policy statement in our packet. It was from April 19, 2022. And then I guess my final, maybe direction, and the rest of the council can say too. But if we are making administrative policies for these grants, or other grants too, I would hope that funders or partial funders, so like Legacy or Main Street, who uses these grants too, would be part of that or could review that. Maybe GoPip, who's also pushing some of these grants, could be part of that to review those also. We can stop for now.
Does council have any other questions for Amal
Or for the applicant.
or the applicant?
We can answer questions of the project too.
Is there any time agreement, since this award is coming to your business? Are you in agreement that you will be there for 5 years or 3 years or a period of time that will be incentivize the council to want you to have this grant?
Sure. I own the building, which we clarified earlier. This isn't a building that the city owns that we're just asking to put money into. We have made significant personal investment, almost $400,000, which is more than what most people in this community pay for a home. I think that should be demonstration enough that we have, a solid attitude about the project. Additionally, we've already gone through a process of maintaining and securing those equity lines of credit to actually run the business. And as many businesses that have come before us in this grant program, while you certainly hope that your business is going to last forever, and I do want to make that promise, that is what our intent is. It's not to sell the building or anything like that. My husband was born and raised here. Due to constraints with our family and taking care of members of our family, we intend to stay in this community as well. And so this is kind of a place for us to call home.
Okay, thank you. That's a good answer.
And I think to clarify too, that because it is the restaurant equipment, that has to stay, should you sell your business, that has to stay in
Yes.
the place. So they couldn't actually sell that stuff too. So it would stay.
That
with the
is
building.
all on the public website. There's an extensive amount of information about the grant that we did read about, and that is why we specifically requested some of the items we did, like coolers and infrastructure that in the case would have flexibility for other businesses to use as well, much like a location down the street at Garrison Rock that you've seen has gone through kind of an evolution of what that concept was as well. But the restaurant equipment stayed.
And when do you think you will have your business open?
Candidly, as you can see in your packet, I submitted this grant almost 6 weeks ago. I'm waiting to hear back from my banker if they will give us a little bit more of an allowance since we've not been able to draw on that line of credit in order to close our line and open our business. And frankly, it's going to be difficult for me to make that payment if my business is not open. And this process has kind of frustratingly delayed that. But I do hope that we can get back on board and get that equipment ordered here in the next couple of weeks and then be open by the end of the year.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
No, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay, if not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Thank you for continuing to help reinvest in downtown Ottumwa.
Resolution number 179, 2025, approving a purchaser good standing requirements for sale of city-owned property policy for the city of Ottumwa. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 179, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Move to approve.
Second.
And Mal, I believe you're going to take this also?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is mostly related to properties we acquire through 657A and also prompted by a recent council comment, Galloway.
Can I ask what you said, how we acquired this property to start with?
We acquire a lot of properties through 657A, and those we usually bid them out and people purchase them. Now we're proposing a policy that to make sure people are accountable, and the goal is to have those properties redeveloped and improved as soon as possible. The last thing we want to see for them to sit longer than they should. So we thought this policy would help us screen the purchasers.
So this is just a general policy that you're
Yes.
asking for approval? Thank you.
Purpose is to promote accountability and help speed up the process of addressing those nuisance and blight. Criteria, basically the policy defines good standing as being compliant with prior agreements, city agreements, having no outstanding property taxes, no unresolved property code violations, no outstanding judgments or litigation against the city. Those are property related. And if it's a business, you want to make sure they do have a valid business license. So the process is going to be after receiving bids, finance would check property records and tax status. Community development would check code and zoning for violations. We would do a legal review if need be. Purchaser is then notified if they're not in compliance. They'll be given up to 30 days to resolve the issues before denial. And policy also includes a process for appeal and allow for exceptions. Those would be appeals would be submitted to city administrator within 10 business days of the decision. They'll receive a decision 2 weeks later. Also, there's a way for an exception to be brought to council for approval if there is a compelling public interest. In summary for you, the purpose is consistent with our values. This is accountability. And then the policy provides due process. It does allow for remedy and appeal. Staff is recommending approval.
It seems to me just to be a common sense thing that we need to have.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's part of doing good business.
Right.
Any questions from council for Mal regarding this issue? Okay, if not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavaness,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Thank you, Amal.
Resolution number 181, 2025, approving an agreement with Greater Ottumwa Partners in Progress for limited sponsorship of the first annual Ottumwa Winter Fest. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 181, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Phil, I believe you're going to talk on this.
I'm going to start, and Cyan Basu is here, I believe has a presentation. Yep, okay. So Greater Ottumwa Partners in Progress is preparing to launch a brand new community event to replace the popular holiday nights and lights. The new event will feature an ice rink, vendor market, and fun activities for children. A new event is perceived to have a similar effect for tourism as the former Holiday Nights and Lights event, which hosted roughly 15,000 people per year. The city, along with businesses and others throughout the community, have been asked to help sponsor the event. An attached resolution agreement would identify the public purpose for the event, and as a result, the release of public funds to help sponsor the event. And the request is talking with the mayor, is to sponsor $500, which is what we sponsored in the past for a holiday display. So instead of that, putting it towards this program. And I'll turn it over to Cyan to talk more about the program.
Thank you, Phil. Hi, I'm Cyan Bosu, the Investor and Events Coordinator at Greater Ottumwa Partners in Progress. And before I get into Ottumwa Winterfest, I want to explain a little bit why we made the shift from Holiday Nights and Lights to this new event. There has been a lot of questions from the community, questions from council, and just like we've done with the rest of our sponsors in years past, we want to be transparent in why that decision was made. First and foremost, the lights that were used in Holiday Nights and Lights were not owned by Greater Ottumwa Partners in Progress or the city in general. We inherited a few lights from O'Hara Hardware, but a majority of them were rented out through a company that was based in Indiana. This contract that we had with them was based on a profit-sharing model. It wasn't a super advantageous contract for us. We gave back 50 to 55% of our revenue, both in sponsorships and gate sales. And throughout the years, we have seen attendance for the event steadily decrease. So just to give you some numbers, in 2022, after a 55% commission rate back to that company, GoPip received $18,000, just a little over in revenue. And then this last year in 2024, after a 55% commission rate, we received just at $14,000, which sounds like a lot, but when you're utilizing these funds to help promote operations at GoPip and fuel economic development, that doesn't go very far. Not to mention the extra staff hours from GoPip as they were setting up those holiday events, holiday lights, and running that event for almost 2 months, as well as city staff. City electricians were influential in making the event happen, as well as Gene with the Parks Department. And so those hours and staff time are not accounted for either. Overall, every year, in average, there's about $20,000 just from our gate sales that went back to that company in Indiana, which would be a little bit more tolerable if they were even from Iowa and we got to keep that money, but we did not. We were willing to continue and try to work with that company, just because we know that the event is loved by the community and it supports some of our quality of life initiatives. However, this past year, that contract model changed from a profit sharing model to paying up front. And on top of that, that company also doubled their price. We reached out to a few other lighting companies. Their prices were even higher. And so we went back to our investors and our community partners and strong sponsors in the past, and we said, hey, these are what the numbers look like. Are you willing to put money on the table to make this happen for our community? And we got a resounding no. And so that made it pretty fiscally challenging, if not even irresponsible, to continue moving forward with that event. And so we've decided to shift towards Ottumwa Winterfest, which I truly believe will serve our community better and will serve the purpose of GoPip better as well. Do you have any questions about the background? Great. Okay, so I already kind of mentioned a little bit of that background for why we shifted to this new event. In general, Ottumwa Winterfest serves the purpose of Ottumwa's growth and the potential that we see for our community much better. It's more inclusive, it's active, and it fills a gap in our holiday events calendar. Instead of being such a long event, we've kind of shortened it, and we've partnered with other organizations in our community so that we're not overlapping, and making sure that the community has time and opportunity to attend every event for every organization. We will have an ice rink, we'll have carriage rides, sports activities, lots of community engagement with different partners, especially 4-H. They've been really wonderful in wanting to do arts and crafts with our kiddos in the community. And then business visibility with a holiday vendor market. And so we also think that this will continue to bring in some visitors from out of our community. And we'll also be utilizing the Southeast Iowa JBS Sportsplex and helping them increase foot traffic there. In the past, council has had some questions for us and some concerns about holiday nights and lights and how that event really contributed to our community and to economic development. And I feel that shifting towards this event really addresses some of those concerns because we're shedding a light on our businesses, we're collaborating with organizations throughout the community, and all of the dollars in sponsorship and support that we get are staying within our community as well. And so with that, we are requesting $500 in sponsorship for Ottumwa Winter Fest, which matches financial support in past years. That does come with the same perks as everybody else at that level with logo placement, comped tickets, corporate pricing for staff, and also in addition, the contract that the city has presented us gives some deliverables with a report on the expenditure of how your $500 was spent on our event and also some metrics on foot traffic for Ottumwa Winter Fest as well. I have some other slides that just kind of show you the outline or a really rudimentary graphic of what the event layout will be. Unless you're super interested in that, I'm just willing to answer some questions about the event if you have those.
Will there be real ice?
There will not be real ice. And that was done purposefully. Not only is it more financially responsible, but we've seen winters look different in the past, and there's been a lot of rain, which was part of the frustration with holiday nights and lights. Oftentimes half of our lights would have to be shut down because the electrical at the park just was not very weatherproof. And so having a synthetic ice rink ensures that we can skate no matter what the weather looks like. Even if it's raining, you can come out, thunderstorm and all.
Can you quickly go through the rest of your slides? I'd be interested in seeing what they have.
Yeah. So these are just some of our dates. It's December 15th through the 21st. Monday through Friday, we'll have ice skating in the afternoon still, and also opportunities throughout the day to work with organizations in the community to do field trips, outings for different businesses. And then just kind of that overview of we're really working on organizational strengths with collaboration throughout the community, business recruitment, and spotlighting some of our local vendors here in Ottumwa and all of Southeast Iowa, and then our quality of life initiatives. This is just an overview of what I just told you. And this is my rudimentary graphic layout of my event. So we are at the Sportsplex. You can see up towards the left, we will have food trucks outside. And then our carriage rides will go all the way around Sycamore Park. And there'll be kind of like a little cul-de-sac behind the Sportsplex, and they'll come back around. And those will be on the weekend. The Parks Department has been super great in communicating with us and telling us what it is they're able to do and not do. And Jean kind of said, hey, make yourself at home. And so we really appreciate that collaboration with them. Inside, that outer blue with the vendors represents the upstairs track at the Sportsplex. Those are where our vendors will be. It'll be a holiday market. And then the staff from the Sportsplex will be helping to run some of our sports activities. So we have, all of them are holiday themed. We haven't quite decided on names yet, but we'll have a dodgeball, soccer, and basketball activity. Santa Claus has made room in his busy schedule to come see us on the 20th and the 21st. So he'll be there for a couple of hours each day. 4-H will be doing Santa's workshop and having some crafts. And then we have a sensory sensitive room for adults and children who might need some quiet time away from the noise. And that's the rough overview.
Have you thought of trying to do any partnering with Main Street during Winterfest to kind of try and do some stuff with some of the restaurants and bars and stuff in the downtown area too?
Yeah, so I actually attended a holiday meeting with Chris, and we kind of went over our schedule of events. And that was part of shortening this event to 1 week. And not only is it easier for our staff to manage, but it allows us to really promote each other's events throughout the holiday season as well. I've reached out to almost all of the downtown businesses now at this point to see if they would like to be a vendor at the holiday market and get some more visibility. And then
Did you get a good response from them?
There are a few, yeah. Some of them, it can be hard to close down your storefront and come to a vendor event, and so some of them are working through what that looks like. But overall, I've had some positive support from people.
That's good.
If someone wanted to be a vendor, would they contact you?
Yeah, they can contact me, CYAN at ottumwaiowa.com. They can stop in at our office or they can visit the GoPip website. We have all of our forms available online, and they can also pay online if they would like to do that. Awesome. Thank you.
Does council have any other questions for Cyan regarding Winterfest?
So a question I have, I don't know if it's for Cyan directly, but so we have budgeted 500. We've done that before, 500. I mean, it's something for Ottumwa, and I would like to see, the city of Ottumwa be a leader in giving towards that. But if that's all we've budgeted, that's really all we could do.
Yeah, we've historically tried to do at least a $500 lighting display, holiday nights and lights in the past 3-4 years since most of us have been here to show the city's support with holiday nights and lights. So that's why I recommended to Phil that if we were going to do Winterfest, that we do at least the same as what we've done with holiday nights and lights for the 500. I think it's a silver level sponsorship.
Yes. I believe so.
It's the minimum level of that.
No, it's not the minimum. It's one step up.
The minimum is
The minimum
$250.
level of the silver sponsorship.
Oh, yeah.
level.
There you go.
It's $500 to $999. So it's
Don't make us look bad.
it makes that next level.
I
yes.
understand what you're saying. Any other questions for Cyan?
Just a comment. This is a really exciting event. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be really good for the city. So I appreciate all the work you guys are putting into it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify for the public consumption that, we get requests all the time to contribute to things. And in order for us to be able to do that, we have to establish that public purpose, and the council has to approve that and verify that, and there has to be an agreement in place, which is really what you're approving is the resolution that is for the agreement and the contribution. So as part of that agreement, the city agrees that we would contribute the $500. And then GoPip is agreeing to put on the event, and that event is going to help generate community support and revenue and things like that. So this isn't just giving money away. There's that give and take as part of that.
And we're going to get a summary report, it's my understanding, afterwards of how the event went.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm. I believe specifically in the agreement, it is where your dollars are put and foot traffic.
Any other questions for Cyan?
What's
Okay.
the time frame on this? Again, December or something?
December 15th through the 21st.
So everybody bring their shovel. Okay, I got it.
Okay, if nothing else, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanis,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is where I ask if anybody would like to speak on any non-agenda items tonight, and we have at least one person that's filled out a slip. Is there anybody else that also wants to speak? Okay, if not, I'd have Kristen Russell come up to the podium and name and address.
Hi, Kristen Russell. I'm the property owner at 317 East Main. Wanted to thank the council today just for your vote on our grant. I know that you all have been serving on the council for a while, and I do think that vote was incredibly uncommon if you look at what you've been asked to review over the last few years. And I just wanted to express that from my own perspective, this has been deeply frustrating. I was subject to an entirely different process than what has been publicized on the website and the processes I have gone through before with my prior grants. I understand that there might be frustration internally over how those grant programs are set up, but they're set up in a manner, and I'm an example of that, to where it incentivizes property owners to complete their projects and open their businesses. It's not one grant fund that gives kind of an unchecked amount of money to any project based on the size. It forces you to do things like put a roof on your building, white box it for a business, and then once you've white boxed it, you qualify for restaurant equipment. This is a series of actions that demonstrate that you want to be part of the community. And I think to, at this point, question that process is frustrating. Within that process, it took me over a month to even get my application reviewed to the committee, when typically that's done within days. I think that that was withheld for personal reasons because Phil, in a non-city meeting, I was notified that he was giving his personal opinions on whether or not our grant application should be approved. And that's just not acceptable. Eventually, when my application was reviewed and then put to the council for this additional vote, and this is maybe part of what needs to be discussion of what this process looks like in the future for business owners, but All of my personal information was signed off on by Phil to release into the council packet, including my W-9 tax form. That includes all of my personal information, my personal contact information, my residential information, and other data that I don't think this city should be able to release. And maybe your lawyer can speak to that too, but it's not okay. And I do expect the administration to acknowledge it and apologize to me and make sure that you're not doing that to other business owners in the future. It's not fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on any non-agenda items? Would you want to speak, ma'am? Would you come up to the podium and give your name and address, please? You'll have 3 minutes.
Yep, that's fine. Amy Hill, 329 West 5th Street, Ottumwa, Iowa. I'm the girl with the dog that was probably here like 2 months ago because the city, well, Jeff Williams took my dog. I know Jeff's retired. I asked to do community service work in lieu of the fees because I didn't have the money at the time. I've been here. I spoke with the mayor's or the governor's office yesterday. They recommended that I continue to work with the city council to get that changed. They were very alarmed at the story I gave them, especially when they found out that my dog was adopted by Arlen and now has a permanent plate in her leg. She is a difficult dog, I'll give you that, but I love pains in the asses. Apparently I am one. But I just want to have the opportunity to have my dog back. I spoke with Farrington at the OPD. They handed me their fees that I owed them. I paid them. Now, where's my dog?
So what is the issue then? If you've paid your fees, have you talked to Heartland Humane?
I've been banned. They, for no reason whatsoever, contacted the police department. I think because my dog is back there now under the name Vivian when her name's Aaliyah. I'm like, you want to confuse a dog that's already, yeah, whatever. But remember I said I called and asked them if that was my dog and they hung up on me. They're lying to the police department, I believe, too, or the police department, because you should have saw the look on McCoy's face when I was down there paying the last bit of that fee when I'm like, no, she's out there. Her name Vivian. So I'm not even going to get back with them because that trust level's nil and none. But I paid all the fees I owe. That's what the law says. So where's my dog? I don't know who to follow up with, but I don't really want to have to take money out of this town to go get a lawyer out of town because that's my next step.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about that's non-agenda item tonight? Yes, sir.
Mayor, council, my name's Ed Paxton. A year ago, I worked with you guys on purchasing a lot at 419 Foster. And the paperwork finally come through and supposedly you guys waived all the taxes and fees on it except for like $480 or something for mowing fees. And plus I had to pay the county $500. Well, the other day I was at the courthouse paying the taxes on it. And there's another $900 mowing fee on this thing now. I want to know why those are supposed to be waived. And now I've got another $900 I got supposedly, it's got to come out of my pocket. I've already got more money in the lot than what it's worth.
Can you tomorrow check with Amal, our community development director? Because when we get to non-agenda items, we really can't discuss or make any decisions because it's not on the agenda.
Right.
But I would encourage you to talk to her tomorrow, see if they can get it resolved for you.
Okay, where was that at?
Here in the city hall.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other person like to speak on any non-agenda items? If not, we'll go ahead and move to mayor or city council report and/or communications. I don't really have anything other than I just reiterate what City Administrator Rath had said earlier about encouraging people to go to the debates and the League of Women Voters candidate forums, and to encourage everybody to get out and vote at the general election on November 4th. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to make comment or
Your Honor,
announcements?
I'd like to comment on the wonderful parade we had on Saturday. We have the biggest turnout of public that I have seen ever, maybe, but at least in the last 5 years. And it was very appreciated that people wanted to come out and enjoy the parade, as well as those of us that were in the parade. So anyway, it was great. I was happy to see the city become very vibrant about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was probably one of the biggest turnouts they've ever had for an Oktoberfest parade. I was just amazed at the thousands of people that were there. It was a great event. Anybody else have any comments, communications you'd like to give to the public?
I don't, nothing.
You usually have something.
I'm hungry.
All right, I guess we have no other communications or announcements to make, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's city council meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Galloway.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending our city council meeting tonight. Safe travels home.